This is the Russian Dynamite, Masha Slamovich.
Becca here.
This is not America's Sweetheart, Davian.
It's Billy Starks. And
the super fly guy, Trayvon Jordan.
This is the fly side flyer, Jalen Brandon.
Hardcore Princess, Jules Malone.
Hi there, this is the Bubblegum Princess, Alexia Nicole.
This is the Brazilian Wonder Woman, Christy Jane.
This is the baddest black belt, Chennai Kai.
This is Kid Bandit.
The smash hit, Joel Bateman.
This is Robin Renegade.
Cody Hawk.
Brutal Bob Evans. And you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment, one of my favorite podcasts in the whole wide world.
Hi, this is Jake the Cake Luupää, also known as the Unprofessional Wrestler, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, the only audio experience on the web today, the trusted choice for interviewing all your favorite wrestlers every Tuesday and Wednesday on YouTube and Castbox, sponsored by Rogue Energy and Player One Coffee. I'm, of course, your host, James J., and it's a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with the unprofessional Jake Luupää.
Hi there.
How are you today?
I'm fine, thank you. It was a busy day. I just ended my vacation, so it was the first day at work after a few weeks off.
And speaking of getting back to work, where can we find you event-wise next?
Well, next, I'm not sure, or I don't recall exactly the dates that we have, but if you're in Finland, you can find me on FCF Wrestling's social media or showpaini.fi or wrestling.fi, I think. And there are all our upcoming dates, and also there's a streaming service if you're outside of Finland called showpaini.tv, where you can watch our product on demand.
And where can we find you specifically on social media and your merchandise?
Yeah, social media. You can just find me on Facebook with my name, and on Instagram I'm at unprofessionaljvl. Stands for Jake Vitun Luupää.
All right. And merchandise?
Well, you can find my merchandise over there too. I think it's linked on the bio.
Okay. And you don't have to go looking for it. All of the links to all his social media will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox. Alright, you mentioned it. You work for Fight Club Finland. Can you tell us about your relationship with the company?
Well, I'm the reigning champion, so there's that.
Yes.
My relationship with FCF Wrestling, as we call it now, is I started training in 2013 and have been with the company ever since. I'm also actively part of the association behind the actual federation, which is roughly translated to the Pro Wrestling Union of Finland. Yeah, and over there I'm part of multiple teams. I'm part of the training team currently. I do social media stuff, organizing the events, and just recently we started a first aid team that I'm leading, and then I'm on the podcast team and other stuff. But we do everything in teams, so we try to keep it so that now not any one person has too much work or responsibility or power, for that matter.
I gotcha. Alright. You mentioned it. You won the Finnish World Heavyweight title in an Ironman match.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what it meant to you to win that championship?
Oh everything. It meant absolutely everything. It's a culmination of the last 10 years of my life, and it's really kind of course, it's a scripted sport, so it's different than winning a championship on a competitive sport. But in Finland, it's a small group of wrestlers that ever get to that title, and to be one of them and being in the history books as a champion, it's a high honor that kind of solidifies you as one of the top performers or superstars of the company.
Is that a moment you take in the moment, or is that something that kind of sets in afterwards, like, wow, I did this?
Definitely sets in afterwards. I was well into the summer when I realized it, and it was, I think, on end of May when I won it.
And like I mentioned, it was in an on-man match against Shemaika.
Shemaika, yeah.
Shemaika.
Yeah.
Can you tell us about that? Because obviously, you know, on-man match, one of the more brutal matches out there.
Yeah, holy fuck for the cardio. Wrestling 30 minutes. It's really something. You really have to prepare for it. We were doing like 100 burpees per day, like 3 days a week for a month. Both me and Shemaika, and I quit smoking for 4 weeks. And this was all on top of our regular training and our preparation for the match. And then it's also kind of hard to put together a good Ironman match, because all around the world, if you watch Ironman matches, I actually hate the match type, but because usually when you see it around the world, it's kind of hard to rhythm it correctly so that the timing works. So usually they just go to a 0-0 or 1-1 or 2-2 at the most, draw, and then one of the wrestlers is gonna win it in overtime. So we had a stipulation that there is no overtime. So in the event of a draw, Shemaika would retain the title. So it was guaranteed that the championship will be decided there, and during the actual 30 minutes. But I think it ended like 6-5 in my favor.
Yes, I believe he actually had you in the sharpshooter for maybe the last minute.
Yeah, it was a full-on minute, longest fucking minute of my life. I'm biting my hand, and the crowd is yelling me, don't you dare quit now, but the perfect part was when the crowd started counting down from 10, and as they reach 0, and they're kind of getting what's happening there, and that we have a new champion, because I think for a while there, everyone in that building thought I was going to tap out, and it would end in a draw, which would mean Shemaika would walk out as the champion.
Right. And can you speak about Shemaika? Obviously, a 2-time champion himself, respected name.
Yeah, he's, I think, overall the greatest pro wrestler in Finnish history. Maybe King Kong Karhula is up there with him, but King Kong Karhula has been around for almost 20 years. Shemaika has been a few less than I have, and I think he's like going on 8 years or something, and I've never seen anyone kind of get pro wrestling and the storytelling the way he has. And on top of that, he's a great athlete and technically one of the most solid wrestlers I've ever had the privilege to share a ring with. And for that matter, we were kind of like this perfect polar opposites. You know, he's a very technical, very kind of traditional wrestler, and just absolute greatness at that. And I'm the unprofessional wrestler, and it has always been the joke that I cannot wrestle to save my life. And then, you know, we go from there. The story is that he's the perfect wrestler, and I'm the one who wasn't even supposed to be there. We brought in like my past with substance abuse and all that, and how I shouldn't even be alive today. And then I was in a tag team that was really popular with one of my best friends, and he managed to break us up before we would get to the match. By winning a match where the stipulation was that if we lose, we cannot work as a team anymore. So there was like this super high emotional stakes and a perfect story that culminated, at least in my perspective, the perfect kind of moment there. And I think the crowd agreed with me, judging by the sound they were making.
Now, speaking of which, can you tell us about your relationship with your schoolyard bully partner, Ken Kallio?
Oh yeah, he's the tag team partner that I was talking about. In Sweden, we've been known as the schoolyard bullies, and we've been heels, meaning bad guys. In Finland, we were baby faces, meaning good guys, and we were called painiveikot, which roughly translates to wrestling fellas or something like that, because he used to have these kind of old-timey gimmicks, so we kind of brought that in for the name, and we had these baseball jackets for that, but it just happened to translate perfectly like these high school bully type jocks in Sweden, so we kind of went along with that too.
It's funny how Sweden translates things differently than Finland now.
yeah, but it was an idea by them, but it was perfect because we are like this Finnish dudes that just come along and face their kind of popular baby faces, and you know, you don't have to know anything about us. You just hear schoolyard bullies and you see us chewing gum in our baseball varsity jackets, and everyone knows what's up at that point. So it's a perfect introduction to a new crowd in a new country.
And can you speak about your relationship with your tag team partner? Or,
Yeah, we are very close friends in real life. He's one of my best friends, but he's currently living in Los Angeles. So we haven't seen each other since the I think midsummer or something. But yeah, I miss him very dearly. We had our tag team name tattooed on our shoulders and everything. Me, him, and a third guy from our organization that I'm not gonna name here. We used to spend time, the three of us, in Helsinki, where they both live. I live like 200 something kilometers away in Turku, or near Turku, which means it was always kind of a ride to get there, but I would spend the weekend there with them and all that stuff. So and it was kind of highlighted during the end when we knew he was leaving that we would spend even more time together, and that's kind of what got us into the storyline where we would have to separate. And it was a real emotional moment. We were crying the whole night, both of us, because there was some like true weight behind that moment.
I gotcha.
Yeah, and knowing we wouldn't see each other for at least a year, or well, maybe less. I'm planning to visit him in Los Angeles during the winter,
Awesome.
But still a long time not seeing one of my best friends. It's a rough place to be.
Are you just visiting casually, or are you gonna maybe see if you could take a couple of bookings here? I'm in Los Angeles, so you know.
Okay, good to know. I haven't really thought about it. Ken is connected with, I think, the Santino brothers. They run a wrestling school, and he's training with them. But I don't know if he has worked with the crowd. But at least I think I'm gonna ask them if I could join them in training when I visit there. But about getting a booking, I really don't know anything about that. But we'll see.
Okay.
If you have good connections or recommendations, we could talk about it after this.
I mean, I know the guy from Compton Mania, so the promoter. So I mean, I could maybe put a good word for you.
Oh, that would be great. Thank you.
Well, we talked about you wrestling in Sweden. What is that like compared wrestling to Finland?
Well, of course, it's always different because different promotions, so different habits and like etiquettes and really a different way to do things. I've wrestled 2 companies in Sweden that are very closely connected and are have a lot of overlapping staff and workers. So Stockholm Wrestling and Freedom Pro Wrestling.
Oh yeah.
I've enjoyed my visits there. It has been a while now. I think it's been over a year since I was last time there. But yeah, I really like the guys in there and the girls too. All the workers are mainly they're all really cool people to hang out with and just shoot the shit and all that. And some of them have been occasionally visiting Finland and wrestling for us. So I think you had the Ozzy Miller on your show. Yeah, so he was like honorary Painiveikko. So he was for one night. He was a third man in our team in Finland once upon a time, and I also briefly wrestled him in Stockholm.
And shout out to Ozzy. Love that guy.
Yeah. He's cool. And then like one of the main bookers behind Freedom Pro Wrestling. Well, I actually know both of them. I've worked with Viggen and Stanislaw many times, and I think I actually had my first main event like 5 years ago in a hardcore match with Stanislaw when he was the VCV hardcore champion or something like that, and experienced my most painful moment when he was like, trust me, I know what I'm doing. And the spot was that he would take like this, the type of brush you can sweep the floor with.
A broom.
But not like a wooden broom, but the kind of that has metal and plastic on it.
Oh, the rake.
Yeah, and he said he's gonna use it as a golf club to smack a golf ball from my nuts while I'm laying down, and it's such a trust me, bro moment. And of course, he would swing it as hard as he can, right into my nuts, and that is by far the most pain I've ever been in a match. It's the only time I almost quit a match. and yeah, but the adrenaline got me through it. But a few years later, when I broke my leg wrestling in a rumble match, all I could think about is, thank God nobody hit me in the nuts with a rake.
Have you had a hardcore match since that? Because I don't believe I have record of that. Of anything after that was in the hardcore nature.
Yeah, I've had plenty. My last one was I think in February, I think. But in Finland, I don't know how they translate to cage match or wherever, but we usually have a different name for everything. Like the Ironman match was kestävyysottelu, which translates to like stamina match or whatever, endurance match. So I was in a tag team hardcore match in February and like a Full Metal Mayhem match in December. And then I'm not sure when it was the last time before that, but there was a point in my career that I was kind of known as the hardcore wrestler in Finland, but during recent years I've been doing it a bit less.
As long as nobody's hitting you in the balls with a rake, you're good.
Yeah. I don't mind the thumbtacks or the barbed wire or getting hit with a Barbie or anything, as long as there's no rakes even remotely close to the ring.
You mentioned, you had an injury. You broke your leg. During that time, what kind of perspective did you kind of get on your own career, having that time off?
Well, I didn't. I missed one show for the injury because it was during the pandemic, so shows were getting canceled all the time. So there was like in the middle of my time off, there was like one show where I was the color commentator, and then I think on the next one I was already on the card because there was such a huge space between shows back then.
I gotcha. Well, what was that experience like doing commentary?
It's kind of fun. I've done it a few times ever since, I think, but the one downside to it is that I cannot really watch the show. I usually watch every show we do. I watch the hard cams, and when they appear on showpony.tv as a full-on edited shows, I love to watch our product. But if I'm on the commentary, there's no way I'm watching it because wrestling is kind of boring if there is no sound, and I hate listening myself on the commentator, or it kind of distracts me too much from the action in the ring.
I gotcha.
Yeah, but during the initial injury, I learned that I'm kind of a dumbass, and maybe that was my first serious injury, so I kind of learned also that I'm not invincible, so I cannot just be doing anything in the ring and expect to get away with it scot-free. As I had been, of course, there's the smaller injuries and the nagging pains and all of that, but nothing that would keep me away from wrestling. But when I broke my leg, that's like, okay, that's gonna be a while. And before the pandemic hit, I was about to miss, because this was the last show before the biggest show of our season at that point. So I was about to miss our kind of WrestleMania because of the injury. And, if I had, I first had the injury while training. I hit my leg on the apron, but I think it wasn't all the way broken at that point because, after a couple of days, I could walk on it normally. But I think there was how do you call it, a sprain or something, like when the bone suffers a break, but it doesn't go all the way through. Okay. So if I had missed the Rumble, I would have probably been okay to wrestle the next month in the bigger show. There would have been enough time because the break would have been clean, all the way.
Right.
So, so then a week after initially breaking my leg, I went to the Rumble match, and there I broke it all the way through. And because I'm still a dumbass, I finished my spot in the match with one leg, and I didn't know it was broken at the time, so I also like walked 3 or 4 flights of stairs up and down, then a kilometer to my car. Slept on it, and the next morning I'm realizing, okay, this is more serious. I gotta get to the emergency room. But I was still soaking, or I was smelling really bad from the night before, so I had to get a shower before I would go to the emergency room. And when I get to the emergency room, they do the initial evaluation of what kind of care am I gonna need, and they do the initial one before the x-rays and stuff, and okay, it's gonna be a long wait, and then you have to get quite far along the hallway, so here's a wheelchair. And at first I'm like, I don't need a wheelchair, I can walk. And then the nurse is like, yeah, you should really get the wheelchair. And that's when I started thinking, okay, maybe this is something more serious. And then they get the x-ray and find out it's broken. Then I spent 4 weeks on a cast. It healed a little bit faster than anticipated, so I got the cast off after 4 weeks. But then I spent the next 2 weeks learning to walk, and it was like closer to a half a year in total until I could run, do squats or jump with my leg, or wrestle for that matter. But it didn't matter. We were all coming back from the pandemic break at the same time, so everyone was kind of rusty.
I gotcha. All right. Now we mentioned, wrestling in Sweden. You wrestled in Denmark as well for Nordic Elite Wrestling.
Yeah.
You wrestled a Million Lewis. Can you tell us about that experience?
It was great. For me, I worked as a babyface there, which is kind of the thing I'm really good at. I've only been heel in Sweden, so I have very little experience on that. But in NEW, I had met some of the guys in Sweden, but mostly they were all new acquaintances for me. I really liked the people there, and they made me feel very warm and welcome, and they just had this kind of this collective hustle for the show, and they were all contributing, and the spirit there was something really great. And the match went fairly well. I remember the crowd was really hot in there, and Emilian is an absolute beast. He's a super great worker, but he's this big bad muscly dude, and he's their champion right now, and rightfully so. But working with him was really easy, and I really love the guy, and yeah, met some very good people over there. And for me personally, it was like coming from the background that I come from. I suffer from a major imposter syndrome, so I'm always thinking, okay, I shouldn't be the champion, or I still cannot wrestle, or whatever. But that was the first and so far only time that I've gone overseas by myself, because usually it's a group of us that's going somewhere. Right. But to any W, I'm going to a new country by myself, and I'm working with new people in front of a new audience. And in Finland, it took 5 or 6 years for the crowd to start chanting my name. In Denmark, it took a minute, maybe a minute and a half. The crowd ate it up. So when I was like crying when I landed in Helsinki airport and I'm walking through the gates and just kind of thinking about it, like, okay, I just did all this by myself. So it was a moment that not even my huge imposter syndrome could ruin for me.
And
yeah.
Oh, continue.
No. Oh, I was just gonna say that it was the first time I ever felt like, okay, maybe I'm good at this wrestling thing.
Now, as you mentioned, A Million is the champion there. You're the champion in Finland. Maybe a rematch, champion versus champion?
Oh, that would be so cool. Yeah, because we were both like this, like we weren't down on the card by any means, but we were both like still rising up, but a little down the way from the main event and title picture. So we both had some ways to go, and we won our championships in like month apart from each other. So it was really close, and I think we're both still reigning.
Yeah, I believe so as well.
Yeah, so it could be a real cool like this, like see where we are, you know, like, okay, we made this match happen in like this part of our careers. Now we are over here. What can we do now? But you know, it's always easy to book and the especially fantasy book when you are not running a wrestling company.
Right.
So.
And shout out to Million as well, a friend of the show.
Yeah, he's a really good dude.
Now, you mentioned, took like 5 seconds to be cheered in Denmark. Why did it take 6 years for them to start cheering you in Finland?
Because I sucked. Yeah, because once upon a time, the fact that I couldn't wrestle was true. On my 10-year anniversary, I released a video that one of our photographers helped me do, because he also does filming and editing and stuff. It's in Finnish, but essentially it tells it shows these old clips about me, like, back when I couldn't wrestle. I was on the card only because we didn't have so many wrestlers in Finland, and the overall kind of level of talent was way lower than it is today. And I was like this skinny young guy, had zero muscle mass, zero athletic abilities. I didn't look like much. I wasn't really much. And then when I should have been training, I was partying and all that. So I didn't really do my work back then. And there was time where my problems with alcohol and other substances kind of took a hold of me, or they really took over to the point where I got in such a bad shape, both mentally and physically, that I stopped wrestling for a year. But then I started at some point I started working out. I got sober and stuff, and kind of ever since then it's been like an upward spiral or whatever. But
you mentioned that you're 6 years sober, 1 year away from pro wrestling. Even you said you were unsure if you would be able to make a return to the ring. So can you tell us about being 6 years sober?
Well, being 6 years sober has been the best 6 years of my life. When you manage to get sober from an addiction, it's such a empowering experience that it kind of gives you the blueprint and the will to kind of improve other areas in your life, and also kind of putting the work in to improve yourself physically, mentally, emotionally. I'm hoping to start therapy, like psychotherapy, very soon, and I got diagnosed for my ADHD and all the other other stuff from my past, which made me understand myself way better, and of course back when I was mostly, I wouldn't call it even partying. It was just this sad escapism and really kind of like this. I was drifting outside the society, and I wasn't working. I was unemployed for 2 years and stuff. So I studied a profession for myself, and now I'm gonna graduate from Turku University of Applied Sciences, I think is the English name, for the school I'm going through now. So I'm gonna be a psychiatric nurse, and I'm writing my thesis as it is with a friend of mine, and all that. I've been working like as a practical nurse for a few years, and in Finland you can, when you're about to graduate, as I am for the psychiatric nurse stuff, you can start working like at the start of that year, about when you have enough points. So I've been since at the start of February doing that. Although in the same job, I've been as a practical nurse for a few years now.
Well, congratulations on that.
Yeah, thank you.
Like I said, you was unsure if you would make a return to pro wrestling. Was that ever like cemented, or when did you kind of feel like, yeah, I'm ready to come back and do this?
Well, when you have such problems in your life, it's easy to kind of dwell on them and blame everyone else, especially when there's substance abuse involved. So you blame everyone else. So I wasn't feeling happy in the place that I used to feel happy, which was pro wrestling. So I blamed the company, and that kind of, I was missing the people, but kind of angry at the company when I should have been angry at myself. And I loathed myself more than ever at that point. But yeah, it was hidden behind this false kind of self-esteem that comes with the booze, and yeah, I ended up leaving because I couldn't wrestle anymore. It was too hard for me. It was mentally too hard for me, but the kind of wall came up physically when I just I couldn't physically do it anymore. And I was away for a while. I think I attended some shows like here and there, but mostly I was away. And yeah, at that point I didn't see kind of any way to go back, at least as a wrestler. But my now ex-wife got tired of me always like talking about going to the gym. And I was, all the time when I was drunk, I'm like, next week I'm gonna start hitting the gym, and I didn't see the inside of a gym in like many years. But eventually she got tired of it, so she was like, okay, are you gonna talk about it, or are you gonna do it? And she almost carried me all the way there and made me get a membership so I would stop complaining. And I started going to the gym, and I was unemployed, so I didn't really have much else to do. So I started going to the gym a few times a week, and that kind of gave me a reason to. I was still drinking, but I wasn't drinking as much at that point because you can go to the gym when you're hungover. So that kind of got cut back on the drinking part, and then as I got to the gym, I was already up, usually back then it was early for me because I was like up during the morning. I was like maybe 9 or 10. Now it feels late for me, but but back then it was real early because I would always get up like maybe between 2 and 4 in the afternoon. But so I'm already outside at a decent hour. So when the unemployment, it makes you go to all these conventions and stuff where you can find education or work. So instead of, I kind of learned how to kind of not go there, but then kind of explain it to them in a way that they wouldn't cut back on my benefits. Or then I just didn't give a fuck and they would cut them anyway. And I still wouldn't do anything about it. But yeah, now that I was already outside, I finished my workout and, it's like, okay, it's starting in an hour. Maybe I should go. I'm already close by and stuff. So I went to one of these and there was this these all different schools and stuff. And I stumbled into a local trade school and they had like practical nursing, and I ended up applying. It was like half as a joke because my then wife was a practical nurse. So I'm gonna do the same thing you are, but complain less. And then I got in, and I was waiting on the date because this is kind of like a benefit thing in Finland, but I would my income would be better if I started the school after I turned 25. So I had to wait like an extra month or two before starting the school. And during that time, I stumbled into like this, like it's not a full-time job, but you like this where it's easy to go after unemployment, and you had to be a long time unemployed or something to get there. And it was like maybe 4 or 5 hours a day or something. So I went there for a few months while I was waiting for my school to start. And then in school, you do the full days, but it's trade school, so it's not really that hard. And then you start your kind of practices where you actually start the 8-hour work days. And then from my first practice, I got a job and et cetera. So that's actually kind of, I accidentally kind of stumbled upon the perfect like rehabilitation pathway that we actually try to manufacture to my current customers at the job I do. Try to create these opportunities to kind of take it step by step to get from one place to another. And yeah, I did that all by accident. So I think I'm kind of the luckiest guy in the world or something, but yeah.
All right. I think it's time for Jake's Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads, and weird, crazy, and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you tell us a road story that fits that description?
A road story? Well, we're not too much on the road. Well, me and some other wrestlers from Turku, we are, but those are sometimes not the most eventful trips when we been a full day on the show and then we drive back, so people are very tired and quiet. But thinking back a little over a year ago, we were going to Sweden. I think it was me, Ken Kallio, Stella, Alpha, and Prince Make, whatever you call it. And yeah, we were going to Stockholm, so to wrestle, and the boat ride over there took like closer to 20 hours or something. So, of course, some of the guys would get hammered on the way there, and we would try to be in the nightclubs and stuff. But yeah, most of us just wanted to go to bed and all this stuff. And then Make gets like really seasick, and he couldn't really do anything else, but he was just repeat like, is the boat like waving around or moving, and like, you know, when it go from side to side, you know.
Yes.
And then so he would do this, and we would tease him the whole trip, the whole weekend we were in Stockholm. We would have our matches, and I think cops tried to shut the show down because they were selling alcohol without the rights or whatever they was doing, and we were like, "What the fuck is going on here?" But we managed to get the show through, but the promoter kind of left us to deal with the police or the wrestlers, you know. But yeah, it all ended well. We got the show through, and we got compensated and all that. And then we would still keep teasing Make, and I was banging with him on the way back. And I was banging with Make and Alpha. Alpha is this real big dude who snores a lot, and I've always been a bad sleeper. I suffer from insomnia time to time, and I'm really sensitive to voices. So this big dude snoring beside me, not doing me any favors on the sleeping part, and then the boat starts moving again. And after all the shit I gave Make about it, when they wake up the next morning, I'm seasick. I've been up all night. And as we leave the boat, I have sea legs, so I couldn't walk straight for like 2 weeks. So I don't know if it was a wild story, but yeah, that happened.
I mean, it's a good story for sure. All right. Can you tell us about the advantages and disadvantages of being in the same profession as your significant other?
Oh, it was my ex that was a practical nurse.
I mean pro wrestling.
Pro wrestler. Oh, yeah. That's the current one. But yeah, well, our professions are different because we didn't get paid to do the wrestling. But yeah, the same passion we have for pro wrestling. Well, there are the advantages that it's kind of easy to understand why the other is away for a weekend, or you know, how much training it takes and preparation it takes and time it takes just for a single match, you know. And we kind of support each other. We watch each other's matches and give some pointers, and you know, we're just there for each other. But the disadvantages is that we might have a significantly different outlook on pro wrestling and how we are part of it, because she got into wrestling when she was an adult, so she has a healthy relationship with wrestling. Now, I was 19 and I wasn't doing very well. I was the last kid who got into wrestling, and I've been doing it for all my adult life. So kind of everything in my life centers around it. And in the beginning, it was kind of real hard for us to understand each other's like place in wrestling and understand the place that wrestling had on our lives, because it was so different. But like with everything, like you communicate about it and, you know, expand your views. And now I don't remember there really being a disadvantage in a long time. Well, of course, sometimes the night before a show, you both kind of have the cheaters and kind of makes you both grumpy. Mostly me, but sometimes both of us.
Now, You actually share a tattoo with her as well, no?
2 tattoos.
Can you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Can
So yeah. Okay, you go first.
Could you tell us about the meaning behind those tattoos?
Yeah, okay, so the first one we got 2 years ago when we were in Rhodes for a vacation. So we wanted to get a memory in the form of tattoos. So we had this like a small olive leaf in our right arms. For her, it's like the only one in her arm, and for me, it's like part of the whole arm sleeve. So, yeah, maybe a bigger commitment for her. but yeah. And last year we were in Cyprus, and we wanted to get a tattoo over there too. But I got really sick on the third day. I spent the rest of the trip in a hotel room with a high ass fever, so we didn't go anywhere together, and she would spend most of the trip taking care of me, which was really sweet of her. And now we just got back from Sunny Beach like a week ago, and while we were at Sunny Beach, we were invited to this tattoo studio, and we were watching the catalog and all the tattoos they have done previously. And then she sees like this small calligraphy type of tattoo that was just Jake, and she was like, "Would it be fun, like, if we had these tattoos?" And I'm like, where we get each other's name, like, isn't that kind of a cliche or something? And she goes, no, not each other's. And it started kind of as a joke that we would both take my name, because I can sometimes be a little bit self-centered and all that. But yeah, then the joke kind of grew up on us, and then we ended up doing it, and now we both have my name behind our ear.
Is there any meaning behind the other tattoos that you have?
Some of them do, most of them don't. They're all like favorite bands from when I was a teenager, or bands that I was in as a teenager, and some of them I've seen for the first time when they were put on the skin and all that. But yeah, some of them do have meaning.
All right. Now, you were part of a 90s rock festival. I believe this was in Sweden.
Yeah, last summer.
You were on stage in front of 15,000 people, no?
Yeah. It was awesome. So yeah, we didn't know we were getting up on the stage when we didn't really know much of anything. It was another trip, like it was me, Stella, Shemek, and Ken. We are on the boat right there, and Shemek and Ken had been enjoying the nightclubs and the karaoke for a while, so they were not too bad, but they were a little bit drunk. And then they hear like it's 11 p.m. or 12 or midnight or something, and we hear the word from Stockholm that the first match is taking place at noon, and we don't know which one's it gonna be. It ended up being me and Ken, but yeah, so the guys are half drunk, and we were going for a late night, but yeah, the night was cut short. We were rushing back to our like cabin and started putting on the self-tan lotions and hurrying to bed, because some of us had to work very early the next day, but yeah, it was a fun experience, because once we got there, then we heard that we were getting on stage, and then at some point we weren't, and then we were told that we would get to talk on stage, and then we were told we wouldn't get to talk on stage. Then Stanislaw was at the stage with us, with their manager or something, and then when it was time to go, it was like, okay, me, Ken, and Shemeka, we would just stand there flexing our muscles while Stanislaw would speak with the manager. And they do that. We were like, for a good minute or two, we were just flexing, which is the greatest moment of my life, flexing my biceps to 15,000 Swedish people. But then something amazing happened, because somehow the microphone ended up, I think it was Ken who had it in his hand, and we are like looking like, okay, we were told not to speak, but what's the worst thing that could happen? You know, they couldn't send us away at that point anymore. So Shemeka takes the microphone, and we're working as the bad guys. So and this was last year, right after Eurovision. So Shemeka goes like, do you love the 90s? I don't give a fuck if you love the 90s. Gives me the mic, and I'm like, yeah, you people don't deserve to have a fun festival, but it doesn't matter, because you people just steal everything anyway, just like Loreen did with that stupid fucking song. Then I give the mic to Ken, who goes up to the front, to the like edge of the stage, looks at the front row and goes, cha, 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 motherfuckers. They started throwing trash at us, which was perfect, because we were like straight from the stage, we would head up for the main event, which was like Team Finland versus Team Sweden elimination match.
And I thought Stanislaw was the one that got the most heat because he called everyone jabronis.
Yeah. I remember it was like really important to him to get to call 15,000 people jabronis.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
But obviously on a stage of a music festival, you are actually in a band yourself, no?
Yeah, I have a few bands.
Can you tell us about that?
Well, they're not really successful. Like 2 bands, 3 bands that do Finnish rock music. I do some English metal stuff by myself as a solo project, but I think I'm gonna change it to Finnish also. At least for a while. Let's see what I can come up with, and then, of course, if you want to do shows as a musician that doesn't make that good music, then of course you have to have the cover band that you do the gigs with, and then I also do gigs as a troubadour with just me and an acoustic guitar. That I play just, popular songs from Finland, and, well, mostly Finland, but also some around the world.
Okay. And that's a great segue into the colossal question. Let's say they're making a movie about you. Every movie has a soundtrack. What would be the first 3 songs on your movie soundtrack?
Oh shit, that's a good one. Well, I don't know the precise songs, but the bands I think would be the most influential bands I've had in my life would be like Metallica, Blink-182, and from the recent years, I think Electric Callboy would be nice. And because their music is kind of really captivates, like something in my nature, when there's like this brutal metal stuff going on, but then this happy techno stuff at the same time, and it's rough, but it doesn't have to be serious. I actually use their songs sometimes as an entrance music I use them in Sweden and Denmark, because my my regular music has usually been in Finnish, so I had to change it up when I went overseas.
Right. Alright, a solid 3 picks to say the least. Now that we have the soundtrack down, everybody knows that you get the soundtrack first, then you write the script, and then you go to casting. Who plays Jake, and you can't say yourself because you are obligated to make a Stan Lee-esque cameo.
Can I just pick one of my favorite actors or something?
Yeah,
because because I would believe most actors would be talented enough to play me anyway, because I'm not that complicated of a guy. I'm mostly just a dumbass doing stuff and overbooking my schedule way too much. So I don't know if there's much depth to that character work, but I really like Tom Hardy's, the kind of roughness he has. Of course, he's way too old to play me, but like young Tom Hardy, that he has this like cool aura to him, but he's not like this pretty boy. Of course, he's very handsome, but if I could pick a Hollywood version kind of me, way more handsome version of myself, because he, especially if it's my pro wrestling character, he has the kind of, he's loose, he's chill, but he has that danger to him, that edge.
I gotcha. Alright. Now every movie has a supporting cast. Who would be 3 people significant to you and your story that would be in your movie, and who would play them?
Oh shit. Well, my fiance Nikita would for sure be one of the characters, but I don't know who would play her. Who's your favorite actor? Because she's not answering me, but yeah, she's a few meters away from me, so I gotta pick this one real carefully.
Yes, especially considering she's right there.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Like who has the kind of who could captivate the sweetness and kindness that she has, but she also has that. Huh? Oh, she says Blake Lively. Okay, we'll go with that. Okay, yeah, I was just thinking about Blake Lively.
Okay. Crisis avoided.
Yeah. Yeah. Then if this could be like anyone alive or dead from anywhere around the world, Ken Kallio would be played by this Finnish actor Vesa-Matti Loiri when he was young. He's died of old age now, but one of the all-time great actor and singer in Finland. But Ken Kallio looks just like a young Vesa-Matti Loiri. You can Google Uno Turhapuro, which was their greatest role. And the third one would probably be my dad. But who would play him? Like he's bald with a large beard, so I don't know. I'm thinking maybe Jeff Bridges from Iron Man, but maybe then Ray Stevenson, the dude who died recently. He has the kind of same charm, although kind of is he Australian or British or whatever he was. But yeah, okay, those are my picks for now.
All right, and it's sounding like a great movie, a blockbuster to say the least. And
yeah, an expensive one too.
Oh yeah, nothing but the best. And you could pre-order the tickets now. On to a controversial subject. pineapple on pizza. What's your step?
No. And I'm not just hating on it because the internet told me to, but I've always been like very careful with what I put in my pizza.
So,
and there is no room for pineapple.
So you're very anti-pineapple on pizza.
Yeah, but not that I have anything against pineapple. I enjoy pineapple in other forms, but not on pizza, because in pizza it's a lot of meat for me, and then it's gonna be some jalapenos and olives and mushrooms.
All right. And what's your spirit Pokemon?
Oh shit! I haven't watched Pokemon in 25 years. The first Pokemon film, it had the clone and the original. What were they? Mew and Mewtwo.
Yeah,
I'll go with Mew. They're super cute.
All right. And the weirdest question you'll be asked on a wrestling interview, hopefully. Would you ever consider wrestling a Rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, not the country, an actual physical Rock.
Why on earth would I do that? Then there would be two objects in the ring with similar wrestling abilities.
So,
but I don't think I would wrestle Dwayne Johnson either, because he's way too big for me.
So you will not be wrestling a Rock.
Yeah, probably not. It's gonna be a boring match.
Well, just for context, there's a wrestler named Psycho Mike that indeed wrestled a Rock for over 15 minutes in a Tungsten Man match. That's an Iron Man match that lasts for 2 weeks.
Really? Well,
Yep.
good for them.
Not good for them. They lost the match.
Of course they did.
Yeah. They tied 319 to 319, but The Rock was the world champion, so he retained.
So they retained.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect. How did the Rock initially win the championship?
That's a good question. I think he was just the inaugural champion because he was just that good. Oh no!
Yeah.
He defeated Hard Place to get the championship.
Of course they did.
Yes. On a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Well, hopefully still wrestling. I'm on a lot of ways. I'm really happy with my life right now. One thing I would hope to change in 5 years is having children, but maybe buying a house. But the second one is it's a good goal to have. But if I had to pick between the two, having children would be more important. And wrestling wise, if I'm completely honest, I've never had any great aspirations to wrestle outside Finland. It's fun, I will do it, but to be completely honest with you and with myself, I am not that motivated to do it that I would really like do anything about it myself. I will go when asked, but I don't think I've really ever contacted any promoters or anything.
Okay.
But yeah, I would love to see the Finnish wrestling scene grow during the next 5 years the way it has been growing the last 5 years, and I would love to see, maybe not in 5 years, but eventually I would love to see like these real kind of superstars and celebrities in a Finnish scale to rise up from Finnish pro wrestling. And it's it's getting mainstream attention more and more. You know, like a little here, a little there, but it's nowhere near a mainstream entertainment yet in Finland. But
Right.
maybe someday, and I would be honored if I could be a part of that.
Absolutely. And what is a match people should go out of their way to see that best shows off what you are all about as a pro wrestler?
Well, yeah, maybe it's the Iron Man match with Shemeka. I think that is the best match I've ever wrestled.
Can we find that on YouTube?
No. It's soon gonna be on showpiny.tv. There is a 3-day free trial if you want to test it out, but that show is coming up there next, but it's not there yet. We usually post it might be by the time this comes out, by the way, but we eventually we put the shows on YouTube, but they're a year or two late, so people have a reason to get on our streaming service.
Right, I gotcha. Is there anything we can find on YouTube right now?
Let me just check real quick what you can find over there. I know there's a lot of matches. Most of them are in these complete events.
Okay.
That you can watch. Well, you can find Omega from 2022 when me and Ken won the tag team championships. There is a story there too. The only time in Finland when the champions didn't know they were becoming the champions. Then there's this Showpainia Turku event from 2021. There was the main event was my first title match against King Kong Karhula, and I think previous to my match with Shemeka, that might have been one of my best matches. But there's a lot of good stuff in there. You can find a wide variety of different events, full events from the years, but you can also find this one-off matches that have been put out there. Oh, and then there's Talvisota 16 from 2022, which I think I was in a Full Metal Mayhem match where I did a swanton bomb from the top of a ladder to some chairs. Okay. That was a cool one.
And I will grab those matches from YouTube, and I will put a link to them in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox for anybody that hasn't seen them, wants to see them, wants to re-see them after this interview. Yeah,
that would be cool. And yeah, you can find all of those on FCF Wrestling's YouTube channel. I would recommend everyone to subscribe to it because we are updating it regularly, so new content is being uploaded. We have we do some promos there, or the hype videos we put up there, and then the older full events, and then the newer, we call them Luupää, which means YouTube battles that are this one-off matches that are put on there, and they're usually fairly new. So I would recommend if the Finnish pro wrestling scene interests you, then it might be the perfect place for you to go and see some. I think the oldest event is from 2006 or something.
Okay. And since we are nearing the conclusion of this interview, we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom.
Okay, hit me.
This is our speed round, or bonus round, the round where we see who you really are. Are you ready?
Okay, so it's like I gotta answer as fast as I can, or what?
I mean, you could answer at the speed you want to. Well, we just call it the speed round.
Okay, hit me.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Like around the world or in Finland?
Anybody in general.
Anybody? Well, of the ones I've had the privilege to know, it's King Kong Karhula, Shemeika, or Regina Roosendahl.
Okay. Worst wrestler.
Worst wrestler? Oh, no, man. The Shockmaster.
You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
My opponent? Do I have to be in it?
Anybody you'd like.
But do I have to be in it?
Yes.
Okay. Oh, well, if I had to main event WrestleMania with anyone, I think I'd still pick Shemeika again.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
Oh, Randy Orton's team.
Which one?
Voices.
Okay. Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is...
Stupid.
We would have also...
To an extent. Kayfabe is stupid if you kayfabe is good during the show and during the promos and all that, but outside of it, if you're trying to convince grown-ass people that Santa is still alive, it's just dumb.
We would have also accepted tastes great on toast.
What?
It's a joke.
Okay.
Squash. Is it a vegetable or a fruit?
It's a match type.
I will accept that answer.
Yeah.
New Japan wrestler Taichi. His ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
I don't know, man. I wrestle in jeans.
So, unsure.
My answer. So I really have to give one. I don't. Whatever makes you happy. I don't think there's any limits to that. If you want to show your butt cheeks, go for it. If you don't, then don't go for it. Really that simple.
Okay. And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
Fuck no. I've had a lot of conversations with strangers, but this might be my first conversation ever about Darby Allin.
And that's the correct answer. And
sometimes, I think once I've maybe like sent a video of him doing something really dumb and sent it to Ken and said, "This is really dumb." But that's kind of the only conversation about him.
Well, that is the correct answer, and that will conclude this interview. Thank you so much for coming on and doing this with me.
And thank you. This was an honor.
The honor was all mine.
It was for both of us.
Absolutely. And once again, where can we find all things Jake on social media?
Yeah, so Instagram at Unprofessional JVL and FCF Wrestling, and you can find me on YouTube, mostly on FCF Wrestling channel. From my channel, you're just gonna find music stuff, and nobody wants to hear that. And on Facebook, just put my name in. And showbunny.fi you can find my biography, because we have this little bio for all our superstars.
And you don't have to go looking for it. All of the links to all his social media will be in the description of the video below, but on YouTube and Castbox, simply click the link. A new tab will appear on whatever device you are on. You have no excuse. Buy a damn shirt.
I gotta say, that is so cool of you to do that.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it's the least I could do.
It's really a cultural heroism, like doing this podcast, like I told you before when we were messaging about this. It's really cool that people put time and effort into doing this.
I appreciate that, because I do put a lot of time and effort into this, but there are some people that do this that do not put a lot of effort into it.
Yeah, and well, of course, everything is a plus, but especially when I can clearly see that you're passionate about this, it's really easy to follow. When you message me, and I found you that way on social media and immediately started following you, because this was so interesting to see. Okay, you're doing all this and you're really putting effort in it and all that. So it's a joy to see.
I appreciate that. And thank you for listening. If you like what we're doing, please like, subscribe, and comment. Join us tomorrow as we interview Rami, and join us every Tuesday and Wednesday for new incredible interviews, and follow the show at Wrestling with E, both on X, Reddit, and Instagram for information on who we're interviewing, when we're interviewing, links to those interviews, and so much more. Follow me personally at JamesJ993. Alright, when I say Wrestling With, you say entertainment, okay?
Okay.
For our special guest, Jake Luupää, Kaliko Yacht, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling With
Entertainment. Yow!
Hey folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling With Entertainment. Enjoy the show, support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.